Conscious Leadership Podcast, the human side of leadership, where consciousness meets practical business leadership. The podcast dives into real challenges managers face, from team motivation to navigating change. Discover actionable insight, proven strategies, and inspiring stories to help you lead with clarity, authenticity, and impact. Whether you are an SME owner, a team leader, or simply passionate about conscious leadership, this podcast will equip you with the tools to build stronger teams, foster trust, and achieve sustainable success. Tune in, lead consciously, and make a difference.
Have you ever felt like you've tried absolutely everything in leadership? I mean, every book, every single training, every new framework that comes along.
Yeah.
And yet, deep down, something still feels well off. Like all that immense effort you're putting in, all the energy, it just isn't quite translating into the deep, lasting change you're really craving.
Yeah, that's a feeling I think resonates with so many leaders today. You see it everywhere.
You really do. You see the statistics, right? Those constant reports, maybe from Gallup or others, showing this persistent disengagement, motivation that's just flagging high turnover.
Always the same story year after year.
Exactly. And you have to wonder, why on earth are we still doing things the same way?
Yeah.
Why stick to these models when the outcomes, well, they clearly aren't improving?
It's a huge question.
What if the problem isn't really you or even your team? What if it's the actual system you're trying so hard to operate within?
What if the tools themselves are the issue?
Precisely. Well, today, that's exactly what we're diving into. We're taking a deep look at precisely that persistent, nagging frustration with common leadership models.
Okay.
Our mission, really, is pretty clear. We want to unearth why so many of these common approaches just seem to fall short, despite all the best intentions and continued efforts.
Right, and maybe find a different way.
And explore a radically different path forward. One that, actually champions the individual, that talks about leading from the inside out.
Okay, so focusing on the person.
Yeah, we're talking about leveraging your own intrinsic strengths, your innate capabilities, that unique potential that resides within you, rather than, constantly trying to force yourself or your team into some outdated mold that, frankly, just doesn't fit anymore.
That sounds like a much-needed shift.
The sources we've dug into for this deep dive, they offer a really powerful, quite insightful look at this current state of, leadership disillusionment. And they don't just point out the problems, which is easy enough to do. They actually propose something bold, a fundamental transformation. They challenge the very bedrock of what we usually consider effective leadership.
So not just tweaking the edges.
No, definitely not. This isn't about quick fixes. It's not another management trick to just add to your toolkit. This is about a profound, almost revolutionary shift, I'd say, in how we even understand and embody leadership itself.
A whole new paradigm.
Exactly. One that puts the human being, the individual, squarely, firmly at the center. And I suspect many of you listening can probably relate to this experience. You've, dutifully tried the frameworks. You've diligently read the books, probably got a shelf full of them.
The leadership library.
Right. And maybe you've even sent your team to countless trainings, hoping this one will be the one that sticks.
Investing time, money, energy.
Significant amounts of time, money, and, let's be honest, emotional energy into these common, widely accepted methods. And yet, there's still this pervasive sense, this feeling that something's just not quite working.
That gnawing feeling, yeah.
It's this deep feeling of being profoundly disillusioned with cookie-cutter programs and empty frameworks. That's a phrase from our source that really jumped out.
That captures it well, cookie cutter.
Yeah. And it's important to recognize this isn't just a minor glitch, not just a temporary dip in morale or a bad quarter you need to push through.
No, it feels more systemic than that.
It is a systemic issue.
Yeah.
A deep-seated problem that countless leaders, countless organizations are grappling with day in and day out.
And you start asking those questions.
You really do. You find yourself asking, if all these traditional approaches, all these books and frameworks are supposed to be so effective, why are the leadership statistics, that persistent disengagement, those stubbornly high turnover rates, the general lack of true, deep innovation, why are they still consistently, going down the drain?
Right. The numbers don't lie, do they?
They really don't. Why do we keep trying to solve these incredibly complex human problems with these simplistic, one-size-fits-all solutions that clearly aren't cutting it?
What's truly fascinating here, I think, is just how common this disillusionment is. It's almost universal in some circles. And our source points out that it's so widespread because fundamentally, most conventional leadership programs, the ones everyone uses, they're really designed to treat symptoms, not the root causes.
Okay, like putting a Band-Aid on a deeper issue.
Exactly. Imagine your organization is like a human body, right?
Right.
If you have a persistent fever, well, traditional approaches might offer you a cool compress, maybe some fever-reducing medication.
Right, temporary relief.
Temporary relief, exactly. But if that fever is actually caused by a serious underlying infection, you're not getting anywhere near the core issue. You're just masking it.
I see.
And in organizations, this looks like, endlessly tweaking KPIs, implementing yet another new performance review system, rolling out the annual engagement initiative.
The engagement survey comes around again.
Right. When the real problem lies much deeper. If your team feels flat, if that motivation is consistently low, or if you're seeing absenteeism or even presenteeism, people showing up but not really there if those things are rising. These aren't just minor annoyances to be managed. They are often very clear indicators of more profound systemic misalignments within the organizational culture itself.
Okay.
Problems that these conventional methods, they just gloss over, or they attempt to patch them up superficially.
So the Band-Aids again?
They provide Band-Aids, yeah. They try to cover the visible cracks without ever really examining the foundation. And in a human organization, that foundation is built on the individual's intrinsic alignment, their energy, their motivation, their unique way of operating.
Right.
And this persistent failure, this inability to address the core human element, to truly understand and empower each person's unique way of being and contributing. That is precisely why we keep seeing those frustrating statistics about leadership effectiveness year after year after year. The needle just isn't moving.
And it's not just the organization as a whole that suffers from this disconnect, is it? Let's talk about the personal cost for the leader.
Oh, absolutely. It's huge.
Because many of you listening are likely feeling utterly exhausted, just worn out from carrying it all, constantly fixing problems, driving all the initiatives, pushing teams forward relentlessly.
The weight of it all.
Exactly. And this relentless external focus, it often highlights a profound neglect of the individual leader themselves, which leads directly, inevitably, to burnout.
You can only push so hard for so long.
You're trying so incredibly hard to apply all these external frameworks, to fit into a certain kind of leadership persona that you think you should be.
The expected mold.
That you invariably lose touch with your own natural flow, your unique energy, your authentic self gets buried under all those expectations.
Yeah.
It's an incredibly heavy burden, isn't it? To constantly feel like you have to be the strong one, the one with all the answers, always solving problems, always demonstrating this unwavering resilience.
Even when you're running on empty.
Even when you feel completely depleted, maybe isolated, and increasingly deeply misaligned with what you're doing and why, you end up pouring all your energy into maintaining this facade, this external performance, rather than cultivating a genuine, sustainable source of leadership that actually comes from within you.
And if we connect that personal cost, that burnout, to the bigger picture, the source we looked at suggests a really radical idea. It's one that challenges the very foundation of how we typically think about leadership improvement.
Okay, what's the idea?
It basically posits this. What if the real transformation doesn't come from trying harder, but from aligning deeper?
Aligning deeper. Okay.
That's interesting.
It really is, and it immediately raises a critical and I think deeply important question. What exactly are we aligning with?
Right. Aligning with what? The company mission?
Yep.
The strategy?
Well, maybe something more fundamental. The conventional wisdom, as you've experienced and mentioned, it nearly always tells us to simply try harder. Push through obstacles with sheer force of will.
Right. Grit and perseverance. Implement more strategies, do more analysis, invest in even more external training programs. But this new perspective, it challenges that directly, fundamentally.
How so?
It implies that true, sustainable, profound change isn't actually about increased effort, especially if it's in the wrong direction. It's about finding a deeper resonance, a fundamental internal calibration that unlocks a different kind of power.
Okay, power from within, not from effort.
A power that flows naturally from within, yes. It's about recognizing that continuing to try harder within a system that's inherently broken or misaligned only leads to more exhaustion, more frustration, and ultimately more of the same disappointing outcomes.
So you just dig yourself deeper into the hole.
Exactly. You're not achieving genuine progress or lasting transformation. So this is a shift from that external control, that imposed conformity we were talking about, to something more like internal coherence and authentic expression.
Right.
And that's a crucial distinction, a vital one, that most current leadership models completely miss. And frankly, they just aren't equipped to address it.
And this brings us, I think, to what might be the most powerful, maybe the most liberating statement in our source material. It's a statement that profoundly reframes this entire discussion around leadership struggle. It's simply, you're not broken. Your system is.
Wow. Yeah, that hits differently, doesn't it?
It really does. Think about that. This is a profound and I think immensely liberating reframe for anyone listening, especially if you've ever felt personally responsible, like, taking the blame for the failings of your team or your organization.
That feeling of, it must be me.
Exactly. That insidious feeling that you must be doing something wrong, that you aren't good enough, that somehow you are failing. This statement immediately shifts the focus, shifts the blame from those perceived individual shortcomings onto systemic flaws.
Takes the pressure off the individual.
Completely. It's not about your inherent capability or your personal drive or how dedicated your efforts are. It's about recognizing that the environment, the outdated models you're expected to use, the deeply ingrained expectations that permeate so many organizations, they are simply no longer serving you or your team or your organization effectively. They're the problem, not you.
And unpacking that statement, your system is broken, it reveals a really critical, often overlooked distinction in how we typically approach development, especially leadership development.
Okay, like what?
Well, take most resilience training, for example. It's often well-intentioned, right? But what does it usually teach you? It teaches you how to survive dysfunction.
Right, how to cope, how to endure.
Exactly. It's about building a tougher skin, learning coping mechanisms, enduring the existing pressures, finding ways to bounce back, that famous phrase, but all within an inherently flawed framework. It's focused on personal endurance. But this radical rethinking we're exploring today, the source says it shows you how to evolve beyond it into your own design.
Evolve beyond it, not just cope within it.
Precisely. And that is the absolute essence of why traditional methods tend to perpetuate problems rather than truly solving them. They equip you to cope with the problem, maybe manage the symptoms a bit better, but they don't help you fundamentally transcend the dysfunction and actually transform the system itself, starting with yourself. And our source clearly articulates the fundamental flaw sitting right at the heart of so many leadership challenges today. It states that the prevailing leadership model, the one most organizations still run on, was originally built for control, conformity, and efficiency.
Okay, control, conformity, efficiency. Sounds very industrial.
Exactly. Not for wholeness, alignment, or truth. Think about it. This model emerged largely from the industrial age. It was designed to manage large workforces almost like machines, wasn't it?
Yeah, maximizing output, predictability.
Prioritizing uniformity and predictable output way above individual well-being or unique contribution. And this is precisely where the individual human being is truly systemically neglected.
Right, the human element gets lost.
Completely. It's a model that inherently values uniformity over uniqueness. It values obedience over authentic expression. It values short-term gains over long-term holistic well-being and sustainable growth.
That sounds depressingly familiar for many workplaces.
It is. It's designed to manage people essentially as resources, like cogs in a larger machine, rather than empowering them as unique individuals with their own distinct strengths, their own intrinsic potentials, their own deeply personal motivations and ways of operating. And this inherent design flaw, this fundamental mismatch between an old industrial era model and the incredibly complex, dynamic, human-centric challenges of today's world. That's why those pervasive leadership statistics continue to be such a concern.
We're using the wrong tool for the job.
We're constantly trying to fit round pegs into square holes. We're forcing individuals into roles and behaviors that, quite frankly, often go against their very nature, their very energetic design. And that inevitably leads to widespread dissatisfaction, burnout, and underperformance.
So if you're listening to this deep dive is absolutely for you if you recognize yourself in these very real, very common experiences we're talking about. The source material actually speaks directly to a few distinct personas, but I think the core feeling behind them is pretty universal.
Yeah, many people will likely see themselves in these.
Maybe you're a seasoned executive, someone who's just grown tired of managing with the mask on all the time, feeling like you have to constantly perform a role that isn't truly you. maybe suppressing your authentic self, your genuine insights, just for the sake of fitting into corporate norms and expectations.
That pressure to conform is immense at senior levels.
Or perhaps you're a founder or a CEO and you're just burned out by always having to be the strong one, always shouldering all the emotional weight, all the strategic burden, feeling increasingly isolated at the top, maybe unable to find genuine connection or a truly shared burden within your own team.
That lonely at the top feeling is very real.
Very real. Or maybe you're more of a visionary leader, someone whose team isn't quite keeping pace with your own evolution, and you're struggling to translate your big ideas, your future-forward concepts, into actionable, aligned execution, leading to frustration, maybe a sense of stagnation.
Yeah, the team isn't quite getting it or moving fast enough.
Right. Or, and this is incredibly common, I think, across all industries, maybe you could be a disillusioned achiever. You know, someone who's done everything right according to the external world. You've followed every piece of advice, you've hit every milestone, achieved every external success.
Ticked all the boxes.
Tick all the boxes, and yet you still feel off. There's this persistent sense of emptiness or misalignment or just unfulfillment despite all the external accolades and achievements.
It's all there is feeling.
Exactly. No matter which of those descriptions resonates most deeply with you, the common thread running through them is strikingly clear, isn't it? You've meticulously optimized the strategy. You've successfully scaled the operations. You've diligently implemented all the latest best practices you learned in workshops, seminars, business books.
Done everything you were supposed to do.
Everything. And yet, despite all this incredible effort, the culture still feels flat. Your team often seems misaligned, working at cross purposes sometimes, and you are carrying this immense, often invisible, emotional weight of it all.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
It really is. And this just reinforces the urgent, undeniable need for a fundamentally new approach. One that moves far, far beyond these outdated templates that are simply not working anymore for the complexities and the profound human realities of today's organizations.
Need something different.
It's about acknowledging, finally, that the current methods aren't failing because you are failing. They are failing because the very foundation they are built upon is fundamentally flawed when it comes to truly understanding, valuing, and ultimately unleashing human potential.
Right.
It's time, really, to stop trying to force individuals into systems that were designed for a different era entirely, and instead start designing systems that truly honor and leverage the individual. Okay, so let's unpack this new paradigm then, because this is where the solution, the potential path out of that persistent frustration truly begins to emerge.
Let's get into it.
It's called a radical rethinking of leadership. That's the term used. And the core of the difference in this approach, it's profound, it's transformative.
Okay.
We're talking not more top-down strategies, not more quick fixes. We are emphatically not talking about another program that just gives you a new set of external rules to follow or another checklist to tick off.
Been there, done that, right?
Exactly. Instead, it's about a system built on empowerment. Emphasis on the N, where you lead from your inner architecture.
Inner architecture, I like that.
Yeah. It emphasizes that crucial leading from the inside out aspect. It shifts the locus of power, the source of your leadership, from relying on external authority or validation to finding and trusting your internal alignment.
Okay, so moving the focus inward.
It's about recognizing and then actively leveraging your unique intrinsic strengths, your innate wisdom, that internal compass that you have, rather than constantly seeking external validation or just following generic one-size-fits-all instructions. This empowerment, it isn't just a buzzword. It really represents a fundamental shift, moving away from seeking external power or validation and towards recognizing and leveraging the immense, often completely untapped, power that already resides within your unique inner architecture.
So what does that architecture look like?
Well, it's your inherent strengths, your natural decision-making processes, your specific energetic makeup. It's about building a leadership style that is authentic, sustainable, and profoundly impactful because it stems from who you genuinely are at your core.
Exactly. And this new paradigm, it isn't just a nice philosophical shift. It has very tangible, very actionable pillars that really differentiate it from, well, anything you've likely encountered before in leadership development.
Okay, what are these pillars?
First, and this is truly groundbreaking, it states directly, we use your unique human design blueprint.
Human design. Okay, some listeners might know this, others maybe not. Can you break that down a bit?
Sure. So for those unfamiliar, think of human design as a highly personalized, energetic map of your consciousness. It's Quite unique.
Map.
Yeah, a blueprint. It's calculated from your precise birth data, your time, date, and place of birth. And it synthesizes several ancient wisdom systems, things like astrology, the I Ching, the Kabbalah, the Hindu chakra system, but it combines them with insights from modern scientific fields, particularly quantum physics and genetics.
Wow, that's quite a blend.
It is. And what it reveals is described as an energetic quantum blueprint of each individual human being. This isn't just another personality test like Myers-Briggs or DISC.
Right, it sounds deeper than that.
It's much deeper. It's intended as a profound operational manual specifically for you. It reveals your intrinsic strengths, your reliable, natural decision-making strategy, which they call your authority, your unique energy type and how it functions best, and basically how you're wired to operate most efficiently, most effectively, and most authentically in the world.
So it's about how you're designed to function.
Exactly. It's about understanding who you are designed to be, not who you think you should be according to society or some generic leadership template.
Can you give an example of what that might look like?
Sure. For instance, someone might discover through their human design chart that they have what's called a projector energy type. Now, a projector's energy isn't designed for constant initiating or pushing like some other types. Their energy is designed for guiding and advising after they've been specifically recognized and invited in.
Okay, so they need an invitation.
They thrive on recognition and invitation. Knowing this specific insight helps them avoid incredible amounts of frustration and burnout that comes from trying to force things, trying to initiate constantly like they see others doing.
Trying to be someone they're not.
Precisely. Instead, they can focus their energy on cultivating their expertise, making themselves visible, and attracting those powerful invitations. This leads to a much more impactful and sustainable leadership style that works with their natural energetic flow, not constantly fighting against it.
That makes a lot of sense.
And this immediately addresses that core problem we identified, the neglect of the individual. It puts their innate design, their unique blueprint, right at the very center of leadership development. It empowers them to lead authentically from their genuine nature. Then the second pillar builds directly on this foundation. It says, we integrate quantum principles with real-world execution.
Okay, quantum principles. That sounds a bit abstract. How does that apply to business?
Yeah, it can sound that way, but it's actually very practical. This isn't just abstract theory pulled from a physics textbook. It means understanding that, just like in quantum physics, where individual elements within a system are deeply interconnected and influence the whole field.
Interconnectedness.
The unique energy, the state of alignment, and the specific contribution of each person profoundly impacts the overall organizational dynamics and ultimately its success. So we apply these principles, understanding energy dynamics, resonance, coherence, to create more fluid, more responsive, and ultimately more effective business operations and team collaborations.
Can you give an example here, too?
Sure. For example, understanding how different human design energy types naturally interact, say, how generators, the sustainable workforce energy, collaborate best with projectors, the guides, or manifestors, the initiators, can lead to much more intuitive and productive team assignments. You stop putting people together based just on job titles and start looking at their energetic compatibility for certain tasks.
Okay. Building teams based on energy, not just skills.
Exactly. Or understanding how someone's specific authority, their reliable internal decision-making compass revealed in their chart, can guide strategic choices. Someone might have an emotional authority, meaning they need time and clarity over an emotional wave to make correct decisions, while someone else might have a splenic authority, relying on instantaneous intuition. Honoring these differences leads to decisions that feel inherently correct and tend to yield much better, more aligned results. And the third pillar ties it all together. We fuse business process excellence with emotional intelligence.
Okay, so bringing the hard and soft skills together.
Precisely. Traditionally, these have often been kept in completely separate silos, haven't they? You have the hard skills strategy, operations, financial acumen over here, and the soft skills, emotional intelligence, communication, empathy over there, often seen as less critical or harder to measure.
Yeah, nice to have sometimes.
Right. But this new paradigm recognizes that without truly understanding the emotional currents, the inherent motivations, the natural energetic flows within a team and within the individuals, even the most technically perfect process will likely fail to gain real traction or produce sustainable results.
The human element trips it up.
Always. So we bring them together by showing how your unique human design, your communication style, your energy type, how you process information, your decision-making strategy can directly inform your strategic planning, your team team assignments, how you structure meetings, your communication style, even your approach to giving and receiving feedback.
Wow, okay. So it permeates everything.
It really can. It creates a truly holistic and deeply human-centered form of excellence. It's about creating systems that are not only efficient on paper, but that also resonate with and actively uplift the human beings who are operating within them, fostering genuine collaboration, trust, and innovation because people feel seen, understood, and correctly utilized. And this comprehensive approach, which deliberately combines, decades of deep corporate experience with real proficiency in human design, its business applications, BG5 and OC16, and even quantum physics. It's specifically designed for those visionary leaders who are done playing small.
Okay, who are those leaders?
These are the leaders who sense deep down that there's something more, something deeper, more authentic, more effective than what the current, often ineffective leadership models are offering them.
They feel that disillusionment we talked about.
Intensely. It's for those who are truly ready to break the model, not just fix the symptoms. They understand fundamentally that trying to force unique individuals into outdated, inefficient, one-size-fits-all molds is just a losing battle. They see that constant downward trend in the leadership statistics as a clear, undeniable sign that it's time, long past time, maybe to stop using tools and methods that have never truly worked for the human element.
Right. They're looking for something that actually addresses the core issue.
Exactly. This speaks to leaders who are courageous enough to question everything, the established norms, the conventional wisdom, even themselves and their own ingrained habits. They're actively seeking a genuine new paradigm, not just hunting for another playbook to add to their already overflowing shelves.
Yeah, no more quick fixes.
No, this new way is about tapping into that energetic quantum blueprint of each individual human being. It's about leveraging tools like human design specific business applications, BG5, which focuses on small teams and career design, and OC16, which looks at large group dynamics to reveal these hidden secrets of individual and group potential and interaction.
Unlocking hidden potential.
Absolutely. And the ultimate aim here is to create a genuine win-win-win situation. A win for the individuals who feel aligned, energized, and correctly utilized. A win for the teams, which become more cohesive, collaborative, and effective. And a win for the leaders and the entire organization through increased engagement, innovation, and sustainable success.
That sounds ideal.
It's about finally stopping the fight against our own nature and starting to work with our inherent design.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting, I think. Because it's one thing to talk about these concepts, right? Inner architecture, quantum blueprints, energetic alignment.
The theory.
Yeah, the theory. But how does that actually translate into tangible results for leaders and their teams out there in the real world? What does this kind of transformation really look like in practice?
That's the crucial question. Does it actually work?
Exactly. Well, we have some really powerful accounts, some stories from leaders who've genuinely embraced this radical shift. And their stories, I think, truly bring this new paradigm to life. They demonstrate its practical impact in a very compelling way.
Real-world example.
These aren't just, glossy testimonials. They feel like deep insights into profound, real-world transformations that moved way beyond just managing symptoms and actually got to the root of their leadership challenges. Okay, so our first case study comes from Alex Tu. He's a master strategist at a company called Inspire Strategy. And Alex describes his initial experience with this whole methodology as a moment where suddenly everything just clicked.
Oh, that click moment. That's significant.
It is. But what does that really mean? What was the journey that led him to that profound sense of clarity?
Well, when Boris, who is the expert behind the specific methodology we're drawing from, when he conducted the complete human design analysis for Alex, it was apparently far from just a surface-level assessment.
Yeah, it went deep.
Very deep. Alex wasn't just handed some generic report with personality traits. He described being guided to really see my complete design. And he said that by Boris elaborating the keys to my strengths, traits, qualities, life work theme, and public roles, everything just clicked and made sense.
Wow. So connecting all the dots.
Exactly. Imagine suddenly understanding with this profound clarity why you've lived the way you have, why you've consistently experienced the things you did, not just at work, but in all aspects of your life. Personal, professional, relational.
That sounds incredibly revealing.
It must be. Before this, Alex, like many highly effective strategists, was likely relying heavily on external data, market trends, conventional business models, very analytical, very effective in that traditional sense. But perhaps there was still this persistent undercurrent of unexplained patterns in his life, or maybe a feeling of constantly pushing against some invisible current, even with success.
Right, something not quite aligning.
Yeah. The analysis would have revealed things like his specific energetic type, how his aura functions, his natural authority for making reliable decisions, his unique definition, genetically wired, of success and fulfillment, which might be very different from societal norms. It would have eliminated how his innate life-work theme, which is like the overarching purpose and energetic signature he carries through life, was playing out maybe unconsciously in his career choices and personal dynamics.
That's deep.
And this profound self-awareness is what Alex himself highlighted with his keywords for the experience. Emotions, experience, new, and change. It wasn't just an intellectual, oh, that's interesting. It was an embodied realization, something that resonated on a much deeper level.
A felt sense.
Exactly. And that clarity, that deep knowing about his authentic self, his inherent operating system, then naturally led to leadership that felt more effective, more effortless, and ultimately more sustainable for him.
Because he wasn't fighting himself anymore.
Precisely. The source material actually describes Boris himself, the expert, in a way that reflects this, stating that when Boris is being Boris, he's a natural leader who excels at whatever he puts his mind to. It suggests this system helps individuals become those natural leaders who excel at whatever they put their mind to, making people around them feel safe and secure under his guidance. Why? Because they are finally leading from a place of genuine authenticity, deep self-understanding, and true alignment with their unique design.
Right.
It's about setting high standards not by forcing or pretending, but by simply being your best, most aligned self. This kind of insight helps leaders like Alex tap into their truly unique strengths, maybe being a powerful guide for others when they are recognized, like a projector, or making those instantaneous gut-level decisions that consistently prove accurate, like a splenic authority, instead of getting lost in overthinking or trying to force outcomes in ways that don't suit their design.
That deep personal understanding sounds incredibly powerful, leading not just to clarity, but to a whole new level of natural, authentic leadership. Okay, our next example comes from Remo Ray. He's the Geschäftsführer, the managing director at a Swiss shipping company, Schweizerische Schifffahrtsgesellschaft Untersee und Verein AG.
Okay.
And Remo's experience really highlights how this deep, human-centered approach can deliver very practical, very tangible business results. It extends far beyond just personal revelations and gets right into the core functions of running an organization.
Right, moving from the individual to the organizational level.
Exactly.
Remo's account really showcases the practical, measurable outcomes you can get from this methodology, specifically through applying what's called the BG5 system.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier. That's the business application of human design.
That's right. The BG5 Business Institute adapted human design specifically for organizational settings. It uses the same core principles of individual energetic blueprints, but applies them directly to understanding team dynamics, optimizing organizational structure, improving hiring processes. Basically, looking at how groups and individuals are naturally wired to collaborate and contribute most effectively within a business context.
Okay, got it. So how did Remo use it?
Well, he describes how, thanks to the support they received using BG5, they were able to recruit the right applicant for a managerial position. Now, think about the common challenges in hiring, right?
Oh, yeah. Sifting through resumes, interviews that feel generic.
Endless resumes, generic interviews, maybe relying too heavily on past performance in a completely different environment, hoping it translates.
Hoping for the best.
Yeah. Before using BG5, Remo's team might have struggled, perhaps, with high turnover in certain key roles, or maybe really long onboarding periods for new hires who turned out not to be a true energetic or functional fit for the team, despite looking good on paper. With BG5, they could look beyond just the skills and experience listed on the CV. They could identify the candidate's natural energetic role within a team dynamic. Are they designed to initiate, to build, to guide, to oversee? They could see their most reliable decision-making strategy and understand how they would genuinely interact energetically with the existing team members.
Wow, that's a different level of assessment.
It really is, and it directly addresses a massive pain point for so many organizations. Hiring correctly, ensuring not just a skills match, but a deep energetic and functional alignment based on the person's intrinsic design, not just their resume.
That alone sounds incredibly valuable.
Hugely valuable.
Huh.
But they didn't stop there. Beyond hiring, they also conducted a comprehensive team analysis to identify potential and challenges within their existing team structure using BG5 principles.
Okay, looking at the current team's dynamic.
Exactly, and Remo's reaction was quite telling. He said, "The accuracy of this tool amazed me on the one hand and convinced me on the other. In fact, the focus here is on the human being."
There it is again, human in the center.
Right at the core. What does that mean in practice for his team? Well, it means understanding, maybe for the first time clearly, which team members are the natural initiators, manifestors, who are the sustainable, consistent workers designed to respond, generators and manifesting generators, who are the natural advisors and guides, projectors, and who are the objective evaluators reflecting the environment, reflectors.
Seeing the different roles people naturally play?
Yes. The analysis likely identified where energy might have been draining unnecessarily because people were stuck in misaligned roles, trying to operate in ways that went against their design. Or where untapped potential lay hidden because individuals were trying too hard to conform to roles or expectations that simply weren't designed for them. Before this analysis, their team might have faced, persistent communication breakdowns, maybe unaddressed conflicts simmering beneath the surface, or just a general sense of inefficiency they couldn't quite pinpoint.
Okay.
The BG5 analysis allowed them to see the team's collective blueprint, how their individual energies combined, or clashed, to create a unique group dynamic. The result for Remo's team, as he put it, was knowing where the strengths and opportunities of our team members lie, while at the same time having a guide to properly use and understand each individual.
That sounds empowering for everyone.
Immensely. It gives the entire team and each individual within it equally important insights into their mutual strengths, their collective potential, and also their inherent challenges as a group. This fosters greater empathy, more respect for differences, and allows for a much more strategic deployment of talent based on natural capabilities.
And did they make changes based on this?
Yes, absolutely. The positive ripple effect was clear and immediate, Remo stated. The first internal adjustments have already been made or are planned as a result of the newly gained knowledge.
Okay, so real action came out of it.
Concrete action. These adjustments weren't just theoretical. They might have involved reassigning specific responsibilities to better align with people's natural strengths. Perhaps creating new communication protocols based on understanding different individual processing styles, like auditory versus visual learners, or those who need time versus immediate responders.
Yeah.
Maybe implementing specific training designed to leverage the team's collective potentials identified in the analysis.
Right, tailored solutions.
Exactly. It demonstrates that by truly understanding and leveraging these unique individual designs, organizations can make proactive, informed decisions that lead to genuine, sustainable improvements. Improving team dynamics, hiring precision, overall corporate development, it moves way beyond just fixing immediate problems to truly optimizing the human capital by working with human nature, not against it.
It's truly incredible seeing it move from personal insight right through to impacting critical business functions like hiring and team effectiveness, leading to tangible adjustments and real improvements.
It bridges that gap.
Remo's experience certainly underscores the practical out-of-the-box application of this methodology. And he gives a very strong recommendation, calling it a sustainable, individual out-of-the-box solution for hiring new employees and corporate development processes. It really does sound like a complete departure from those generic cookie-cutter solutions that, as we've discussed, have proven so ineffective for so many.
Yeah, it's a different world.
Now, for our third case, we have Marinka Essel. She's a marketing manager and communications specialist working at Deutsche Telekom. And her story, I think, beautifully illustrates the powerful, often quite profound personal aha moment that this kind of deep dive into one's own design can provide, specifically how it can unlock unique creativity and a newfound confidence.
Yes, Marinka's story. It really highlights another facet of this work, the impact on individual creativity and self-trust.
Exactly. How did it unfold for her?
Marinka's experience with Boris, the expert, really highlights his crucial role, not just as an analyst, but as a mirror for self-reflection. That's the word she used.
Mirror. Okay.
She mentioned that even though some of the concepts within human design might have been conceptually familiar to her already, maybe she'd read a bit about it having someone else, an expert like Boris objectively reflect her own specific design back to her was invaluable.
Seeing yourself clearly through that lens.
Yes. And this is particularly true, perhaps, for someone in a creative or advisory role like Marinka, a marketing and communications specialist. People in these roles often find it quite challenging to objectively see and evaluate themselves and their own unique genius. They're often focused outward.
Right, focused on the audience or the client.
Exactly. Before having this consultation, Marinka, like many professionals in her field, likely spent significant time doing competitor analysis, studying market trends, drawing inspiration from established industry benchmarks when developing new strategies or offerings, like coaching packages she was creating.
Standard practice, really.
Absolutely standard and often effective to a point. But it can subtly lead to this underlying sense of needing to conform or needing to imitate what's already successful out there. And that can inadvertently stifle true, authentic innovation that comes from within.
You end up sounding like everyone else.
Potentially. The profound impact of the consultation for her seems captured in one specific phrase Boris shared that deeply resonated and apparently just stuck with her. You are the master copy, others are the paste.
You are the master copy, others are the paste. Wow, that's a powerful statement.
Isn't it? And she said this wasn't just a catchy line or some empty motivational slogan. For her, it sparked an immediate, truly transformative aha moment, particularly when she was in the process of structuring her own coaching packages.
Okay, so it had a direct practical application for her work.
Immediately, instead of her usual, almost automatic reaction, which would have been to look externally, check out what other coaches were offering, see what the market standard was for inspiration.
Right, the comparison trap.
Yeah. She describes how she literally stopped herself in that moment. She consciously rerouted myself, as she put it. And then she proceeded to brainstorm her own unique draft entirely from scratch, based on her own insights and ideas.
That takes courage to trust yourself like that.
It really does. And that is the absolute essence of leading from the inside out, of trusting your own internal authority, your unique perspective, your inherent design. She explained the result. The free-flowing brainstorming session with myself gave me the perspective that I didn't even realize I needed.
Unlocking something she didn't know was there.
Exactly. That perspective allowed her to tap into this wellspring of original ideas that were authentically hers, completely unconstrained by external models or those perceived industry norms. It fundamentally empowered her to trust her own unique ideas, her intrinsic intuition, her authentic creative process, rather than feeling compelled to copy, adapt, or paste from external models. And this is precisely how understanding your design helps. It helps you tap into your own distinct abilities, your specific strengths, those unique potentials that often lie dormant because society, education, even corporate culture has subtly taught us to conform, to constantly look externally for answers, and to try and fit ourselves into these predefined, often restrictive boxes.
Right.
It gives you not just permission, but actually the framework and the understanding to truly be yourself and to create and lead from that place of authentic, innate power.
And Marinka's final thought on her experience really just ties a bow on it perfectly, doesn't it? It highlights the sheer depth and the sustained encouragement that seems to be provided by this kind of immersive process.
Yeah.
She said, sometimes you need someone to tell you over 9 hours that you are meant to be unique before you get it.
Yeah, that quote is fantastic. It speaks volumes.
It really does. It tells you this isn't some quick fix, not a superficial 2-hour seminar where you get a few bullet points. It speaks to the need for consistent reinforcement, for that deep dive into your own unique blueprint that helps you truly internalize and embody this radical idea of self-trust, unique leadership, and authentic creation.
It's a process, not an event.
Absolutely. It's clearly a profound journey of self-discovery, one that enables you to break free from those outdated modes of thinking, to release that constant pressure to conform, and to finally lead authentically, leveraging your innate design for what sounds like unparalleled impact and fulfillment.
A deep, sustained commitment to understanding and embodying your true self and bringing that into your work and leadership.
So let's bring this all together. What does this all mean for you, the listener? Well, fundamentally, it means challenging the status quo. It means making a conscious shift away from constantly trying to fix broken systems or endlessly trying to adapt yourself to fit into them.
Which is exhausting.
And instead, moving towards building a leadership style, a way of operating that truly radiates from your own authentic, energetic quantum blueprint, your inner architecture.
Okay.
It's about consciously choosing to replace that pervasive burnout with a deep sense of clarity, replacing that exhausting need for external control with an effortless kind of coherence that naturally arises from being in alignment with yourself.
Flow instead of force.
Exactly. And replacing that feeling of silence or isolation at the top with genuine, honest connection first to yourself, then naturally extending to your team, and ultimately to your deeper purpose.
Right.
It's really about acknowledging that those persistent negative leadership statistics we keep seeing, they aren't improving because we keep trying to force diverse, unique individuals into these old models. Models designed primarily for control, conformity, and a narrow definition of efficiency.
Models that ignore the human.
Rather than models designed for wholeness, for deep alignment, for truth, for leveraging uniqueness. It's truly time, isn't it, to put the human being back at the core, not just as a resource to be managed or optimized, but as a unique source of power, potential, and wisdom to be respectfully unleashed.
Hear, hear. A fundamental shift in perspective.
And the journey towards understanding your own unique design, discovering your own intricate inner architecture, well, that is precisely what the organization behind our source material, Human in the Center, offers. They provide concrete, accessible ways for leaders to start this journey and begin exploring this new paradigm for themselves.
Okay, so there are practical first steps people can take.
Yes, definitely. For instance, they offer something called the zero-point briefing.
Yeah.
And they're very clear. This isn't a sales pitch. It's definitely not another templated solution being pushed on you.
Okay, what is it then?
It's described as a genuine, focused, 20-minute conversation. Just 20 minutes to explore what's not working in your leadership right now, those frustrations we talked about, and crucially, what a shift into your real, authentic design could potentially unlock for you and for your organization.
A focused exploration.
Exactly. The invitation is simple. Come with questions. Leave with clarity. It's a chance to delve into your specific challenges, your unique situation, and discover how this human-centric, design-led approach offers a genuinely different path forward than anything you've likely tried before.
That sounds like a low-risk way to investigate.
It does. And beyond that initial briefing, they offer other invaluable resources too. There's a free discovery call available where you can presumably explore your needs and questions in more detail, perhaps get a feel for the approach. There's also mention of an in-depth leadership blueprint. This sounds like a much more comprehensive analysis of your unique human design chart and how it specifically applies to your leadership challenges and opportunities.
Okay, a personalized deep dive.
Exactly. And for those who are just curious, maybe want to take a very first step into seeing their own energetic makeup, there's even an option on their site to get your free of charge leadership chart.
Oh, interesting. A starting point.
A starting point, yeah. A way to see your own unique energetic quantum blueprint visualized and begin to understand your intrinsic operating system. Really, all of these are invitations. Invitations to be courageous enough to question everything, the status quo, the models, even yourself and your ingrained beliefs about leadership.
Especially yourself, maybe.
Perhaps especially yourself, yes.
Yeah.
So you can finally unlock the profound potential that, according to this perspective, likely lies dormant within your unique design, just waiting to be accessed. It's really a call to move beyond the limitations, the frustrations of those outdated models, and to embrace a form of leadership that is authentically, powerfully, and sustainably yours, creating that win-win-win we talked about for you, your team, and your organization.
This work, this approach, it truly is for those visionary leaders, the ones who feel that undeniable tension, that friction between what they know works intuitively, that inner knowing, that gut feeling they might have learned to ignore, and what the world, what conventional wisdom, what most leadership programs keep telling them they should do.
That internal conflict.
Exactly. It's fundamentally about empowering the individual human being right at the core of all leadership. Moving beyond merely treating the symptoms of dysfunction, the low engagement, the burnout, the misalignment, to revealing and addressing the actual root causes, which so often lie in ignoring or actively suppressing individual uniqueness and energetic needs.
Getting to the source.
Getting to the source. It's about understanding deeply that the answers to our most pervasive leadership challenges aren't found in trying even harder using broken, outdated models. They're found in deeper aligning with each person's unique inherent design. And by doing that, fostering that genuine win-win-win situation for individuals, for teams, for leaders, and for their entire organizations. It really comes down to acknowledging that unique, energetic, quantum blueprint of each person, not as a problem to be managed, but as the single most powerful leverage point we have for true, deep, and sustainable transformation in leadership and in business.
So perhaps the final thought to leave you with today is this. If the greatest transformation truly begins, not with implementing yet another new external strategy or following another complicated checklist, but instead it begins with the courage to truly see, understand, and lead from your own unique internal architecture. what incredible unexpressed potential might be waiting right now for you to unlock, simply by aligning with who you are genuinely, uniquely designed to be. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today.
Thank you for listening to the Conscious Leadership Podcast. Look forward to the next episode to come, and stay intentional, stay conscious, and keep leading with purpose. Until the next time, bye.